Welcome to our weekly Spark Startup Newscast. This week there's a big emphasis on institutional money entering startup world. First of all, the Wall Street Journal are reporting that hedge funds, mutual funds, pensions and sovereign wealth groups, so all the so-called non-traditional venture investors, were more active in the second quarter of 2021 than any previous period. That's from PitchBook data. These firms participated in 42% of startup financing deals, and those deals accounted for more than 3/4 of the invested capital. So that's in the US, so we'll wait to see if that trend transfers into the UK. And funnily enough, the Prime Minister and the Chancellor have written an open letter to industry calling for an investment big bang, and challenging UK institutional investors to consider investing a greater proportion of their capital in long-term UK assets, from pioneering firms to infrastructure, enabling pension savers to get better returns and support a more innovative and green future for the UK. So really interesting that there may be a shift if industry follows what the government's requesting, to put more of that institutional money into startup world. Moving on from there, if you are an AI startup, then there's some interesting data from CB Insights this week as well. So Q2 2021 was the largest quarter on record for AI funding. And the rate of AI exits picked up momentum to also reach a new high, and there were more AI unicorns born in Q2 as well than in any other quarter. But digging down into the numbers, early stage deal share actually reduced. So again, it was more of a focus on a maturing space, which we've seen in a few other sectors as well, which potentially creates a risk of a gap, because there'll be lots of funding for those later stage companies and not for the very early stage. So who will actually help them get off the ground? Also, although it was the largest quarter by dollar value, so it's 550 startups globally raised a combined total that surpassed 20 billion. That still represents a drop in deal volume. So it's more money going to less companies and later stage ones too. That also included an all-time high of 50 mega rounds of 100 million plus deals. So again, huge amounts of money going to later stages. So if you're an early stage AI startup, not such good news, but good to know the way that the land lies. Moving on to sports tech startups, we're starting to see some real momentum in the sports tech world, particularly as investors are starting to understand the possibilities of using data to find ways to build a better athlete. So in the first 8 months of 2021, there was 787 million of venture capital invested in the industry in 103 announced rounds. That's data from Crunchbase. Most of the largest rounds in sports tech have also occurred in the last 12 months. So we're starting to see real signs both in dollar value, round numbers and size of rounds as well, that there's real attention coming to the sports tech area. On to events now. If you would like to hear from one of Europe's most experienced investors, then Stephen Page, founder and CEO at SFC Capital, is being interviewed as part of the Something Ventured series of interviews on Thursday, September the 9th. That's from 9 a.m. So SFC Capital is the UK and Europe's most active seed investor, and they're in the top 3 globally as well. They combine an angel syndicate with their own funds to invest in SEIS and EIS qualifying businesses. So you could learn lots from Stephen. They'll be talking about the importance of supporting startup ecosystems in regions all around countries, not just in central cities. They'll be looking at investing at early stage, and also looking at government financial support for startups through the pandemic. That's in partnership with Fieldhouse Associates. Then coming to funding opportunities, so the Horizon Europe Work Programme focused on civil security for society is opening its cluster 3. So they've got a wide variety of open calls for projects with closing dates in September, October or November, or even as late as February or November 2022. So there's a total budget of 342 million euros across 65 different research calls. But these include 7 main areas, so crime and terrorism, disaster resilient society, managing EU external borders, strengthen security, research and innovation, increased cyber security, resilient infrastructure, and open strategic autonomy in developing infrastructure, space-based infrastructure services, applications and data. So if you have projects that you would like funded in any of those areas, then it's worth heading into the links in the comments to find out more. Also in funding news, Innovate UK have opened their UK Smart Grants. So UK registered organisations can apply for a share of up to 25 million. That's for game-changing and commercially viable R&D and innovation that would successfully impact the UK economy. Registration doesn't open till the 26th of August and it closes by the 6th of October. So you've got a bit of time to put that together. Project costs can be between 25k and 2 million, and up to 70% of project costs can be covered by this grant, depending on business type and size. So you can't get the whole amount, but a good chunk of it. So applications can come from any area of technology and be applied to any part of the economy, such as arts, design and media, creative industries, science or engineering, or more. There must be at least one micro, small or medium-sized enterprise as the lead or a collaborative grant claiming partner. The project has to start by 1st of April 2022 and it has to end by 31st of March 25. And it has to be a UK registered business as well. The types of things they'll particularly fund are feasibility projects, industrial research projects and experimental development projects as well. Then we've also got a briefing from the Transforming Foundation Industries Small Scale Research and Development Programme. That's on the 17th of August, so next week, 10:30 till 12. It's an online briefing. And it's a briefing about funding available that's worth up to 1.5 million and can fund projects with eligible costs of 25 to 250k. So it's focused on much smaller scale research and development, and it's particularly encouraging companies that may have never applied for R&D funding before. The projects don't need to be cross-sector, but they should be able to demonstrate that findings could be adapted to other sectors in the future. So that's it for this week. Don't forget, if you want to find out if you're investor ready, use the link in the comments to take our free investor ready scorecard and find out how well you and your startup fare. Look forward to speaking to you all next week.